Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors. We have a request from board member Pat O'Leary to participate remotely this evening because distance prevented her from coming to the meeting. So I'll make a motion to allow remote participation.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? That's unanimous. So we'll dial Pat in, and then from here on out, all of our votes will have to be roll call. Do we dial in?
Yeah.
That's right. 331. Oh, 531.
Hello?
Hi Pat, it's Lindsay. We voted to allow your remote participation, so you're connected to the room now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great. The next item on the agenda are a few sets of minutes. The first one we don't have enough folks here to pass. The second we don't either. And the third set I think we do. We do. All
I'll
right.
move we approve. I'll second.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, it does have to be roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Tony?
I believe I have to abstain on that. correct?
Yes.
Abstain.
Dave?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Lindsay? Yes.
Yes.
Pat? You were not present, so abstain.
Correct.
The next item on the agenda is a treasurer's report, and I think we'll just informing folks that we got a follow-up questionnaire from the state audit, so I'll hand that over to Eric.
So, as you just said, we've got the post-audit review, where the state auditor is following up with the audit and is looking for some answers to some questions on the items that they had for audit findings for us. The first one was asking about how we're gonna fund contingent liabilities in the future. And as you remember, we had brought before the advisory committee a request to set aside some money from into your stabilization account from free cash, and they had recommended that. We brought it before your board, and you as well recommended and voted to put some of that money aside, $400,000, which I believe addresses that for this year. I also suggest that in the future years that we consider building that up as we go forward to defend against any type of hardship that we may come through. The second one that they brought up was that we had not filed our audit financial statements in a timely manner. As you know, you had given the executive director authority to solicit and approve a contract for the auditors. We're well underway with that. We're just about finalized. In order to make it, will be needed to be done by the end of October. I think we're on track to get it completed by then. I'm pretty sure it will make it. If not, we'll be really close and well before what we've ever done in the past. So, and then the final one was ensure that the project is properly staffed with personnel. And I know that the advisory board had recommended strongly the same exact wording on this, and that you've given the authority to the executive director to go forward with some subcontractors at this point in time to try and feel out where we need to be with our redevelopment plan. And I know that there's been some discussions as to the following fiscal year as we build the budget, what we'll need for staffing at that point, and it seems to be support for that. So I think as far as I'm concerned, what I've looked at for a draft between what we've been talking about, I think you've addressed all the issues that Bump's report has requested for the Treasurer Bump has requested on this report. So I think we're in good standing with that, and unless any of you have any questions, I think we're moving on.
It was promising. We'd taken action items on every question that they'd sent us, so we're at least able to point to some progress based on the findings from the audit. Anything else in this
No,
report?
just in the connection with the audit that it was coming along. That was just about it.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next is the executive director's report. Paul?
Thank you. Recommends the auditor's report. which I was pretty happy to see that we have we've made significant steps in all of our findings from last March. Also want to let the board know that we had another meeting with the NWRA, with Tom Berkeley. We went over there and sat down with the NWRA and the NWRA Advisory Board, trying to finalize the discussions and understand the parameters around selecting an NWRA route to provide permanent water supply. And I think we got some good feedback, and I think we're rapidly moving toward a decision, which I think will be good. We have also, based on the vote that you took 2 weeks ago, hired RKG to come on as our economic analysis, as the MDFA bond, the Parkway bond requires, as we sort of update the redevelopment plan. So they're going to be taking a look at some of the economic statistics around here that relate to really the deficiency payment as part of that, and the calculation of new state revenue. So we're hopeful that we can come up with a favorable calculation for that as we move forward. And that redevelopment plan is coming together, and hopefully will be in a draft form for you to take a look at by the end of the month. And has a piece also related to the state auditor's report that will look at specific contingency plans that they found us to be lacking in March. And then lastly, we had a good meeting with PFM, Public Finance Management, and Hinckley Allen Bond Council joined us in one meeting in Boston. The chair joined us, Eric was there. We had a good discussion about the legislation, our bond cap, what it means, how we might securitize some of that moving forward, and how we might be more helpful to the master developer in funding some of the horizontal development in the infrastructure based on our status as a municipal entity and the bond cap that we have. So I think that was a really good start to the discussion, which will become an ongoing discussion, I'm sure, for the next few months. And that's really it. Thank you. Oh, I just did want to mention what RKG came on, and you authorized 20,000, Eric negotiated a flat fee of 16,000 for them, so they came in under.
Great, good work.
Thanks, Eric.
There are no topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the meeting. I'll now take public comment.
Just one thing, we have minutes with Chris is here now. Can we
Oh, yes, let's go back to that.
the September 5th minutes?
Good.
That can vote where she's on the floor, right?
Yes, she
Okay.
can.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 5th, 2018 minutes.
I'll second that since I was
Any discussion? All right, roll call vote, Kevin,
abstain.
Tony,
Thank
David,
Yes.
Lindsay, yes.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes, of course, yes.
people sat out of order. Pat?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so I have no topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the meeting. I'll now open to public comment. Seeing no public comment. Oh, yes.
Joseph Shea, Abington, Member Advisory Board. I know this isn't on the agenda, but given what has been in the newspaper, given the fact public comment about it, I think at some point it needs to be addressed, especially one concern I specifically have is on the late payments. Elstar is now behind $13,000 in FY19 real estate tax payments to the town of Abington. And in a couple of weeks, the list of people who are behind and going into tax sale will be published for everybody. In mid-November, the tax will be put out. And that's all it's going to cause these are further comments. And I also think that we saw a letter from the mayor talking about what he proposed to at the time. Obviously, anything such as that needs to be coordinated, not just for you people, but also with all three towns.
Thank you. So I think it would be appropriate, assuming that folks can join us to put an update from the master developer on our next meeting's agenda. I think we'd had a commitment for sort of once a month, typically the second meeting for All-Star to give us an update, so it isn't on the agenda tonight. And going forward, if it's helpful to put it on both meetings for the month, we can do that, while things are being addressed. I think, obviously, Mr. Shea, the comments that you raised are concerning, and I do think it's important that we address these, but I don't want to stray too far from the agenda tonight.
If he opens it up in public comment, can we get a brief on them, or is it out of order for us to bring that up?
I think it's out of order. I'm looking to Paul to confirm.
Yeah, I think it would be, there have been discussions, we're aware of some of the concerns, but I think in 2 weeks, L-Star can come back, and I think you'll have a full discussion.
And obviously, I said that because I understand your frustration, and we all have the same issue, but we would address it appropriately.
Absolutely. The natural thing to do would be
Yeah,
just to
I
address it, and I'm
exactly,
sure
I agree with
L-Star
that.
looked like they wanted to talk, but I want to, stay within the bounds of open meeting law.
I understand.
With that said, our next meeting will be on October 17th. We are, next item on the agenda is to convene an executive session. On the agenda, sort of to preserve our ability to, I had written that we would reconvene an open session. We are not going to reconvene an open session. If we were, it would be to adjourn. Just from some discussions Paul and I have had, there's not going to be an action item coming out that isn't attorney-client privilege from tonight's meeting. So tonight's executive session falls under two categories for executive session. The first is to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. The second is to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. And after consultation with Paul and with counsel, I've made the determination that the discussion would be detrimental to the SRA to have in public at this point. So I am moving that we
Can I
enter.
ask a clarifying question?
Sure, Pat.
I believe there's only one reason listed on the agenda. Are we still complying with OML if we have two?
Yeah.
And the reason for our executive session?
Paul is saying yes, and I believe that means council signed off and said yes, so, yes.
Motion.
Sure.
Motion to enter into executive session, not to reconvene.
There's a second. Roll call vote.
Don't you have to clarify what you're going in for, though?
Yes, the two reasons that I just read.
Okay.
And I think Chris moved on the two reasons that
Correct.
I read.
Yes.
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 Yes. Lindsay, yes. Tom?
Yes.
Chris? Pat?
Yes.
Okay. Enter into executive session, thank you all.